All right, we have more changes unfolding in the race for Pennsylvania Avenue. Changes that have a number of the big polling outlets just dropping their final polls before Tuesday. One of them is thought to be the best. AtlasIntel people say they're the best because they nailed the results in 2020 and in 2022, so it's good to take them seriously. Well, we have a big shock surprise in their final set of polls showing Trump winning big, winning in every single swing state and taking the national vote, taking the popular vote as well. Wait till you see this. And to top it off, the CEO of AtlasIntel was just interviewed and he doubles down on his outlet's results. We have the tape. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into these polls. We have both the final AtlasIntel and the final Trafalgar polls to show you. And again, AtlasIntel, they were the only polling outlet that got the 2020 race right and the 2022 races right. So keep that in mind. Trafalgar, also a great polling shop. But before we get started, the most important thing we could do is get out and vote ourselves. Try to bring a friend, a family member, or multiple people with you. 2 days to go, people. It's crunch time. So let's start with Trafalgar. The CEO was just interviewed by Bill O'Reilly. He broke down the latest state-by-state races. We condensed it for you. It was like a 20-minute interview. We condensed it. Roll the tape.
North Carolina, you have Trump up by 3, 49, Harris 46.
Yeah, that's not our final poll in North Carolina, but I do feel very confident. There are a lot of people who think that North Carolina was in play, but the fact is, even in 2022, North Carolina elected a Republican senator and expanded their majorities in both House and Senate, and that was with the new maps and everything. So
all right.
I think North Carolina's going to be solid.
Let's go south to Georgia. You've got Trump 48, Harris 46. But remember, the Atlanta area, Fulton County and Savannah, those two places dominate in their big Harris territory.
Absolutely. But what we have seen in early voting is DeKalb, Fulton, Gwinnett, and Cobb are down, and the other counties that are more Republican are up. And that is significant because in Georgia, they don't register by party. So the fact that people are turning out in the more rural areas and the turnout in the more urban areas is down, and they have to get to 29 to 30% Black participation in early vote. And right now they're like at 27. It is significantly down, and that is a problem.
Let's go out to Arizona. You have Trump 48, Harris 46, and that's a tie within a margin of error. Maricopa County, Phoenix, dominates, and there's all kinds of problems with voting in Maricopa County. So I don't know about Arizona. So even though that Trafalgar has it a dead heat with the margin of error, you believe that Arizona will go to Trump.
Right, because it's been a solid, and that's again not our final poll in Arizona, but it's been a pretty solid lead for a while. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I believe whoever wins Pennsylvania will be president. You got Trump 46, Harris 43, but you got the same problem in Pennsylvania that you have in Arizona with Philadelphia. Very shaky.
Yes, I've been even back into 2016. I've been talking about Philadelphia and their unreliable elections. I've studied this a lot. I have people who are very involved in this, going back to the Black Panther intimidation at the polls in the Bush elections. So what I'll tell you is I generally believe that you have to win Pennsylvania by 2.5 to actually win Pennsylvania. And I feel like Trump has gotten to the threshold that he's winning Pennsylvania by enough to survive any shenanigans, any changes in the rules. I think, and I'm confident that Pennsylvania is one that will go in his column.
All right, Michigan, another situation very similar. Detroit, biggest city, unreliable. You got Trump 46, Harris 44 in Michigan. What about that state?
Michigan is a unique state in the fact that it has such a significant Arab and Muslim population. And it has a lot to do with how they're going to go.
Okay, Nevada, I also think Harris is going to win Nevada. You have Harris up over Trump, for the only one by a point. Why? What's happening in Nevada?
Well, what I have seen, I'm one of those, just like you admitted, I'm one of those guys that I've gotten Nevada wrong 3 elections in a row, and I'm not calling Nevada because I'm for the Republicans because I really know what happened that last weekend, this weekend coming up, what they will do with the unions on the Saturday with busing people. They have a list of every union member,
Oh,
and they
you
will
bet.
collect their ballots, and they will do something that is amazing. It can move this race 2 or 3 points, and even though I think
But it,
Trump is doing well there, they can move it.
it's not even that hard to do, Robert, because it's only Clark County.
Now, the most important state, bar none, is Pennsylvania. 20 electoral votes, and there's always tons of questions about Pennsylvania, especially around Philadelphia. Philadelphia always makes me nervous. Krasner, the district attorney, I really don't like that guy. I don't trust that guy, and I'll just leave it at that. The most important thing, though, with Pennsylvania is that Trump needs to run up the numbers. He needs to win by a 2+ point spread to get around any of these potential irregularities. And according to Trafalgar and AtlasIntel, Trump has crossed that threshold. And good riddance. Let's now dive into the big poll. AtlasIntel's final poll before Tuesday. Here's the numbers. And they are big, people. Donald Trump taking every single battleground state. North Carolina, AtlasIntel says he's up by 3.4 points. Georgia, Trump leads as well by 2.5 points. Arizona, he leads by 6.5 points, which is incredible and necessary because you hear about all the questions swirling around Maricopa County, how the suburbs are leading for Harris. Nevada, they also have him up by 5.5 points. Again, 5.5 points. That's incredible. Wisconsin, Trump leads by 1 point. That's an important one. People are saying, even if Harris wins Pennsylvania, if Trump sweeps the Rust Belt states and Harris takes Pennsylvania, Wisconsin could be that one state that still lets him cross the 270 mark. Michigan as well, he's leading by 1.5 points. And Pennsylvania, the most important of the swing states, he's up by 1.8. Not quite at 2 points. Well, hopefully it's close enough. And what about the national numbers? The national polls, they track right along with the popular vote. Well, AtlasIntel has Trump winning the popular vote by around 2 points. Look, it's numbers like these that make you think this really could turn out to be a major upset for the Dems. Here's the CEO of AtlasIntel explaining that if Trump can turn out the white male vote, he could win the whole damn thing. Watch this.
At the end of the day, what really makes a difference in the swing states, what will really make a difference on Tuesday, in my opinion, a place like Pennsylvania, will Puerto Ricans there be important? Of course. But even more so, it will be the white turnout mobilization. So, if white males really turn out for Trump on Tuesday, he can carry out Pennsylvania. And I think, the whole garbage truck scene and whatever we're seeing in terms of efforts to mobilize voters in this phase of the campaign, it kind of makes sense. From a strategic perspective, this is what he needs. He needs to mobilize voters on election day in the Rust Belt states. This is what will make the difference between him winning or losing this presidential election.
Now, the Trump campaign, they've been on top of all the shenanigans unfolding in Pennsylvania. As soon as those stories started to come in around early voting lines being shut down early, the Trump team, they filed a lawsuit right away and the court sided with them. It all happened quickly, surprisingly. The court extended early voting in Bucks County, an important county in Pennsylvania, a county that leans Republican, a county where he needs to run up the numbers, so that was important. Videos last week began pouring in from distressed voters who claimed they were being turned away from the polls when they still had time left to vote. Now, we have tons of these videos that we could play. They just poured in last week. Here's just one that's been verified by the Wall Street Journal Roll the tape.
I have a question. I have to bring someone here about 4 o'clock to vote. Are they
I'm
gonna?
going to ask you to talk to
Are they
this.
gonna turn everyone down?
I'm going to ask you to talk to this gentleman because the voting is closed right now.
It's closed.
I just want you to talk to this gentleman.
We have the right to vote until 4:30.
I get you. Here's
Why
what
is it
happened.
closed?
Let me explain it to you.
Please.
Okay. This process is very slow and grueling.
That doesn't matter if we're
Very
online.
slow and grueling.
Doesn't matter if we're online by 4:30. We have the
The
right
reason
to
why it
vote.
had to close was because a high volume of people wanted to do this. Slow and grueling.
Well, then they
So
have to
had
wait till everyone's.
They had to cut the line at 1:45.
They cut the line at 1:45.
1:45.
You hear that, everyone? They cut the line at 1:45.
And something to point out about this, the media and the Democrats constantly calling Trump a fascist and an election denier, a wannabe dictator. What they've been trying to do is lock him down for weeks before the election by asking him, will you accept the results of the election? Every time Trump gives the right answer, he says, of course I will, if it's a fair election, which the media clings on to and uses as fodder for why he's a wannabe dictator and a fascist. Well, on Friday night, Representative Jamie Raskin was on the Bill Maher show, and when he was asked the same question, he seemed to give the exact same answer that Trump gives. And then right after, he proceeds to call Trump a fascist. Roll the tape.
When I say we will support a free and fair election, no, we're not going to allow them to steal it in the states or steal it at the Department of Justice or steal it with any other election official in the country. If it's a free and fair election, we will do what we've always done. We will honor it.
So, and that is the Democrats' history. They honor it. That is the big difference between the parties. One of the big. Okay, so.
And on that point, I'll tell you, the political scientists have told us the hallmark characteristics of a fascist political party. Number one, they don't accept the outcome of democratic elections that don't go their way.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
Number two, they embrace political violence as an instrument for obtaining power. And three, they're not organized democratically. They're organized top down as a cult of a personality around a charismatic or allegedly charismatic figure, right?
The hypocrisy in that is staggering. But more importantly, this is the same guy, the same congressman who laid out their plan for denying Trump the White House a few months ago, saying they had a plan in case Trump wins on Tuesday. Here's the tape that I'm talking about. You may have seen this. It's a disturbing tape, but again, this is Jamie Raskin, sitting congressman. Watch this.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress. So it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job.
Saying if Trump wins, because the Supreme Court refused to back their idea of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, he says it's going to be up to Congress on J6 2025 to tell the rampaging Trump mobs, he says, that Trump's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everyone in Civil War conditions. What? Yes, that was what Congressman Raskin said, which is scary, very frightening. Now, what he's talking about is the insurrection clause, which the Supreme Court said doesn't apply to Trump. I wonder why. Maybe because he didn't commit insurrection, but he's saying even if Trump wins on J6 2025, when Congress has to certify the election, it's going to be up to Congress to tell the people that Trump's not qualified. And this is the same guy who's calling Trump a fascist. This is why it's critical that Trump wins in a landslide, people. He needs to win by a huge margin to prevent any craziness. Now, will he? Who knows? I'm feeling confident. But obviously, there's no way to know for sure. The thing I keep going back to is the early registered vote numbers. Trump and Republicans are way up as of yesterday compared to their performance in 2020. We showed you those numbers from Elon Musk. He tweeted them out or X'd them out yesterday. And the Musk team, they're running Trump's ground game for the most part in Pennsylvania. So he has the numbers. All you can do is your part right now by not forgetting to vote. Super important. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.